Visiting Disneyland for the first time? We have the insider tips you need to have an unforgettable vacation.
You're listening to Castle Talk Radio. We're live on the airwaves with Becca and Jessica. Now let's jump into this week's episode.
All right, Jessica, Disneyland. We love it, but I have to tell my kids all the time when they whine about how they haven't been for a while that they're lucky. A lot of kids never get to go. And so I was just thinking the other day about first timers. And we recently talked on an episode about how when we went to Walt Disney World for the first time, it felt overwhelming. And I remember talking with you on that, and it kind of reminded us, hey, we got to think about that for people that are going to Disneyland the first time too, because that's overwhelming. So today I wanted to share the best tips for first timers at Walt Disney World. So what is the first thing we tell everyone when they're like, I think I want to go to Disneyland? What's the first thing I should do?
You should get discount tickets from our partners at Getaway Today, and we have it at our link, getawaytoday.com/castletalk. Now, that'll get you savings off of Disneyland's ticket prices and even savings off of Getaway Today's regular prices. So make sure that you use that link. And if you want to call them to get those tickets, just mention Castle Talk Radio.
Definitely. We love Getaway Today. And we're going to point out a couple of reasons why. First off, their tickets are refundable. If you book straight through Disneyland, good luck. Like, you may at some point have an extenuating circumstance that Disney might, and a very strong emphasis on might, be kind enough to give you a refund. But in general, those tickets are not refundable from Disneyland. And usually if they do refund them, I have found that you get it in the form of a Disney gift card. So can't even use it anywhere besides Disney store, things like that. Getaway Today, they are refundable. But the other thing that I really want to point out, because people always worry that they're going to book too early and then one of these specials that comes out is going to happen. And the thing with Getaway Today is
you can get that special rate, which is another thing that you usually can't do with Disney. So if there is something that comes out after you've purchased your tickets and you haven't traveled yet, you can just give them a call and they'll get it fixed and adjusted for you. So easy.
Yeah, it's always nice to get a little bit of a refund so you have more money to spend when you're at Disneyland. So what's the second thing that you would say to people after they've booked an amazing hotel through Getaway Today, which you can also get amazing deals for that, and they got their discount tickets? What is next?
I would say it's never too early to download the official Disneyland app and start getting familiar with it. And if your kids know about the trip, let them play with it too. It's very pretty and colorful. They can get familiar with the maps, and you can also get familiar with something else that's super important for your trip.
I'm guessing you're talking about mobile ordering. And yes,
obviously,
duh. We love mobile ordering, and you can practice it from home. Just make sure you never go all the way through to purchase, because you actually can mobile order when you are not even in the state. So it's a great thing to practice on. And the other thing that you need to do in the app, since you've bought discount tickets through Getaway Today, you can practice. You can go look and see where you make your park reservations, which are needed at this time at Disneyland Resort. So Walt Disney World, they no longer need reservations if it's a date-based ticket, but at Disneyland, you do. So that can also be done through the app, through the little, when you go onto the home screen, there's a plus icon, and that's where you can mobile order, or you can check for dining reservations, and you can also make those park reservations.
You can also play with Lightning Lane. You can actually go through and kind of pick out things, see how it works, and it will get you very close to actually booking one, but this one won't let you until you're in the parks. But it's just so nice to be familiar with the app and know where those things are.
Yeah, I totally agree. Practicing on the app is a great thing to do. And I think we're going to have to do an episode of the top things to do in the app, Jessica, where people can have their phones with them and go through. Okay, we have to do that episode. It'll be coming soon.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. That's actually, it's like one of the biggest things that I suggest to people is to go on the app beforehand, play with it, mess around with the features, and be ready for your park day, because that little bit of preparation is going to be so essential.
I totally agree. And another thing that I think is important, and you can do this on the app or you can do it through Google Maps. I think it's important to kind of figure out, especially if you're staying off site, where exactly your hotel is, what's the best way to get to Disneyland. Now, I know Jessica has like 20 million hotel reviews on her site. Not really, but close. And in that, one thing she does point out is the best ways to get to Disneyland from each hotel, right? Like you have,
Yep.
if it's walking distance, all of that. And of course, we both have lists of like best walking distance hotels and that kind of thing. So the most popular ways you're going to get to Disneyland, if you are staying in a hotel in the area, is either you're going to walk for a lot of them. You may, if you have a vehicle, you may decide to drive and park. But even when I have a vehicle, a lot of times I'm either walking or walking into the Toy Story lot to use it and hop on the shuttle there, which is free. Or the third thing you can do is use the ART, which is the Anaheim Resort Transit.
Yeah.
But it is a per day fee, and you can ride it as many times as you want for that day. And I believe you can still get discount 5-day tickets through Getaway Today for that, but you can also purchase it through the Away We Go app. Now, after that, the last option obviously is rideshare. That's pretty common. And so you can always Uber to the parks. In fact, you and I did that a lot this last trip that we were on together. We would I'd Uber from my hotel to yours and then to the park and then back the opposite way. So lots of options, but I definitely suggest looking into that before you go so that you're not getting to the hotel being like, how do I get to the parks? You know,
Totally.
it's something you don't want to have to worry about when you're trying to make rope drop the next day.
Let's talk about having a plan, because we know that I have lots of Disneyland park plans on my website for different themes, like different groups of people, whether you're looking for the classics, more kid-friendly things, or thrill seekers. I might even have one for specific times of the year to help you plan out like those seasonal things that you want to hit. And we've talked about it before, but they're just a really great resource to get you momentum, get you going, and allow for flexibility on your Disneyland trip.
I think it's really important that you use the app and you look at what rides and things you'll want to do, because on the app, you can find things about the thrill level and what you might experience on that ride, whether there's loud noises and stuff, which can be important for some children with sensory issues. And then while you do that, I think you should take each person's like top 2 or 3 things they want to do, depending on how many of you there are and how many days you're going, and make a list of those and make those your priority. But also when you're doing that, make sure you're checking in the Disneyland app. Again, we need that episode, Jessica. We got to do that because you can check the calendar, and the refurbishment calendar is usually up a few weeks to 6 weeks in advance. And you'll be able to see if any of those rides might be closed. So you can avoid that heartache when you get there if it was a planned closure. So those are important as well.
Perfect. Another thing that I'm going to say for first timers, don't wait to take your kids. A lot of people have that debate of like, what age do I take them for their first time and things like that. Of course, if it's your one and only trip, there's going to be some more thought put into that and things with their age. But I hear different opinions all over the place. Like, one, we're going to take our kids when they're like 7 or 8 or older. But I really think that if you're close enough in the drive time that you can get there in a day, consider taking the kids before they turn 3. They're free. And yes, they won't necessarily remember it, but you will. And you're going to set up for making those Disney trips part of your family rotation. The more you go, the more special it becomes, the more memories you make together. Once they get older, they still can like and appreciate those things, but maybe could have even been more fun and more appreciative of like the fairy tale aspects of the things, being a kid again.
Yeah, definitely. And to me, that's what hooked me on Disneyland even more. Like, I liked Disneyland before, but the second I saw my oldest interacting with the characters and thinking these are the real characters, that he was actually meeting the real life Mickey Mouse, which I still believe he is meeting the real life Mickey Mouse. I believe in the magic. It changed and it made Disneyland a very regular part of our vacations. And I would have waited until you were 7 or 8, that it wouldn't have been the same. And so I definitely am glad that all of my kids started going really young. I kind of mentioned rope drop. So I think that's an important one we should probably talk about is don't skip rope drop if you are wanting to get a ton of stuff done. And that doesn't mean you have to rope drop every day, but I personally suggest at least rope dropping each park one day. So if you're going for 5 days, yeah, you can sleep in a day or two. But I really think you need to rope drop, and you should always try and do it at the beginning of your vacation.
Yeah, I think that's perfect because that's when you're going to have the most energy. You're going to be most excited. You're going to be most willing to get up and go those early mornings at the start of your trip and just make things happen. And I think also with all the rules or checklists per se, like I think the most important thing is to know of the rules and then decide which ones you want to break. So of course we know that rope drop is so important. And then some days, and also because we've been a lot, we can decide to break those rules.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing I was going to say is another reason I think rope drop's important the first couple of days is because it helps you get a lot done. So if you go that first day and you don't get in till 11 a.m., you're not going to get as much done because the crowds are going to be higher and the wait times will be longer. And that can kind of put a damper on your whole vacation because you have this rough start. But if you have a really good start where you go and you rope drop and you've looked at, both Jessica and I have rope drop articles that help you figure out the best plans, then you're going to have a really good start and it will energize you, but it'll also make you feel like you can sleep in later on the vacation because you've done so much already. So those are why we think rope drop is so important. We are rope droppers for life, but like Jessica said, we do sometimes choose to sleep in and not rope drop. All right, Jessica, we've covered a lot and obviously there's a lot more, but I think those are the main things for beginners. There's one more tip that I want to share, and then if you have another one, you can add on. I think an important one, though, is following people like us, reading our websites, getting the up-to-date information that is available about Disneyland, like reservations can be made so far in advance, for dining versus parks, and just tips of what's going on in the park. And it changes. We've mentioned this in a past episode, that it changes quite a lot. And sometimes it's a temporary change and it won't affect your vacation. So you shouldn't worry about it. And one thing about both of our sites is we are not the news site trying to keep up with every little piece of news that comes out. We are both people that are trying to make sure we have the information you need for your vacation, but maybe not, oh, today they were testing this one thing and it's not going to be there tomorrow. So that's my last tip. You have another one?
Yeah, I'll just build off of that one. Like when you're reading websites or you're seeing things online, check the date. How long ago was this published? Does it say that it's been updated? Because you want to make sure, and especially if you're like, oh, I saw this really good food thing and now it's the only thing I've been thinking about, but then it turns out it's temporary and you kind of spend your whole day fixating on, because I'm telling you about myself, fixating on this yummy, delicious food thing that you want.
And don't forget, you can grab those discount Disneyland tickets and hotel deals at getawaytoday.com/Castle Talk. And we will see you next week.